The brutal murder of Azerbaijanis during a raid by Russian security forces against people of Azerbaijani origin in Yekaterinburg did not go unnoticed in Turkey, which is friendly to Baku. The head of the board of the Turkey-Azerbaijan Friendship, Cooperation and Solidarity Foundation, Aygun Attar, sharply condemned the Kremlin regime and called on all Azerbaijanis living in the Russian Federation, which is about 3 million people, to come out in protest. Reports write about this with reference to Attar's post on social networks. The professor noted that in Russia, the state carries out terror against all other nationalities. Hey, Shameless Putin, do you miss the USSR, which was a prison of nations? Attar addressed the Russian dictator. She added that Putin, imitating Stalin, is pursuing a policy that denies the right of non-Russians to exist. According to Attar, Russian regime security forces raided the homes of Azerbaijanis in Yekaterinburg because they spoke out against being sent to war in Ukraine. Attar is originally from Azerbaijan, but has lived in Turkey since the mid-1990s and is a citizen of that country. She previously held a post in the Security and Foreign Policy Council of the Turkish presidential administration. Baku's reaction to the events in Yekaterinburg. Meanwhile, reactions from Azerbaijan to the murder and arrest of Azerbaijanis in Yekaterinburg continue to come in. On Sunday, it became known that the delegation of the Azerbaijani parliament, headed by First Vice Speaker Ali Akhmedov, cancelled a planned visit to Russia. The Azerbaijani parliamentarians had planned to take part in a meeting of the Commission on Interparliamentary Cooperation in Moscow, but changed their minds after the events in Yekaterinburg. The Azerbaijani side noted that acts of violence on ethnic grounds have become permanent in the Russian Federation in recent times. Meanwhile, arrests of Azerbaijanis detained during the raid by Russian security forces began in Yekaterinburg on Sunday. Some of them had visible bodily injuries that were probably received during the arrest, the agency notes. The arrests show that the Kremlin regime has refused to acknowledge the mistake of Friday's beating raids that left at least 2 Azerbaijanis dead.
Thousands of protesters gathered in front of the Georgian parliament on Sunday to mark the beginning of the 7th month of non-stop protests calling for new parliamentary elections and the release of prisoners arrested during a government crackdown on protesters and political opponents. According to Associated Press, nearly all leaders of Georgia's pro-Western opposition are now behind bars, as protests continue against the ruling Georgian Dream Party and its decision last year to halt Georgia's bid to join the European Union. The demonstrators, who gather daily in the capital Tbilisi, also claim that the vote on October 26 that handed Georgian Dream another term in power was not free or fair. 7 opposition figures were jailed for refusing to testify in an official inquiry investigating alleged wrongdoings by the government of ex-president Mikhail Saakashvili. Georgian Dream's critics call it an act of political revenge. Opposition politicians have declined to attend the commission hearings, citing their ongoing boycott of parliament following the October 26 election. Georgian Dream's critics say the vote was rigged with Russia's help to hand it another term in power. More than 50 people were imprisoned on criminal charges during the violent crackdown on mass rallies that was sparked by Prime Minister Irakli Kobakid's decision to halt EU accession talks. The political turmoil follows a parliamentary election that was won by the ruling Georgian Dream Party, although its opponents alleged the vote was rigged. Its outcome pushed Georgia further into Russia's orbit of influence. Georgia aspired to join the European Union, but the party suspended accession talks with the bloc after the election. As it sought to cement its grip on power, Georgian Dream has cracked down on freedom of assembly and expression in what the opposition says is similar to President Vladimir Putin's actions in neighboring Russia, its former imperial ruler.
როგორც ვიყავით დღესაც ასე შეკრულებული იქნებით.
The country is in a standoff. Nothing is happening except repression. They have now put political leaders, almost all of them, into jail, but still the protest is ongoing, and the protest will go on until, with unity between the parties, they were all behind me today, unity with the protest movement, with the families of those that are jailed, unity until the regime, which is now showing signs of erosion and inner fighting, until the regime dissolves itself.
Sen de akıllarını sağlık.